They raised their glasses, laughing at my humiliation on graduation night. I set mine down, left the table, and came back with an empire. Tonight, in this same ballroom, I answered with legal documents, million-dollar contracts, and their silence when they couldn't deny the truth anymore. The projector illuminated their faces as evidence rolled across the screen, time-stamped emails, bank call logs, screenshots of their Project Reality Check group chat. My parents wanted to destroy my future to keep me dependent. Instead, they gave me the fury to build something they could never touch. My name is Ava Caldwell, and the night my parents tried to destroy me, they wore their best smiles. The Redstone Country Hall gleamed under string lights, its colonial windows reflecting 200 guests who'd come to celebrate my MBA graduation from Northlake University. Crystal champagne flutes caught the light. The jazz quartet played something smooth and forgettable. My father, Gregory Caldwell, stood at the head table adjusting his Hermes tie while my mother, Lila, touched up her lipstick using her phone camera. I should have known something was wrong when Dad clinked his knife against his glass at 9:43 p. "Ladies and gentlemen," Gregory's voice boomed across the ballroom, "my daughter Ava has finally completed her education." The pause was surgical. After all these scholarships, another pause, and her little entrepreneurial experiments. We're thrilled she can now face the real world. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. My Aunt Denise shifted uncomfortably. My younger brother Evan stared at his plate. "To Ava," Gregory raised his glass higher. "May reality be kinder than her dreams have been unrealistic." The champagne turned to acid in my throat. Lila stood, unfolding a piece of paper. "I've prepared something special," she announced. "A tribute to Ava's journey." What followed wasn't a tribute. It was an assassination. Age 6 insisted she could fly, broke her arm jumping off the garage. Age 12, started a dog-walking business, lost Mrs. Henderson's poodle for 3 hours. Age 16, claimed she'd invest her college fund better than us. Thank God we didn't listen. Each failure was punctuated by her theatrical sighs. The crowd's laughter grew more uncomfortable, but it grew. Some guests filmed on their phones. I saw the Instagram stories uploading in real time my humiliation packaged into 15-second clips. Age 22, rejected a position at her father's firm to forge her own path. Age 26, 3 failed startup attempts. And tonight, age 28, an MBA funded entirely by scholarships because Lila's eyes found mine. We knew better than to invest more in fantasy. My phone buzzed, a text from my cousin. "Check the family group chat." I opened it under the table. Screenshots flooded my screen. Project Reality Check. A separate chat I'd never seen. Gregory, Lila, 2 uncles, 3 family friends who ran businesses in Brookfield Ridge. The messages were dated 3 weeks back. Called Thompson at Ridge Ventures. Warned him about Ava's instability. Spoke to Community Bank. They'll flag her applications. Let her hit rock bottom. She'll come crawling back. My hands stayed steady as I screenshotted everything. The timestamp read 10:07 p.m. Lila was still talking. "But we love our daughter, and when her latest venture inevitably fails, we'll be here. The guest room is already prepared." The laughter now had an edge of cruelty. These people, family friends, my parents' business associates, my former professors, they were witnessing my public execution and applauding the executioners. I stood slowly. The room quieted. "Thank you, Mom, Dad." My voice carried clean and clear. "You've made everything crystal clear tonight." I picked up my champagne flute, held it up as if to toast, then set it down untouched. The soft click echoed in the silence. "Evan," I turned to my brother. "Congratulations on getting into North Lake. You deserve better than this." I walked toward the exit, my heels marking each step against the marble. Behind me, Gregory called out, "Ava, don't be dramatic. It was just a joke." The door closed on his words. In the parking lot, I sat in my Honda Civic and opened my phone's recording app. I'd been recording since Lila started her speech. Then I opened a new folder in my cloud storage Phoenix file. The valet approached. "Ms. Caldwell, are you all right?" "Perfect," I said, starting the engine. Absolutely perfect. As I drove away from Redstone Country Hall, I could see the party continuing through those colonial windows. They thought they'd buried me tonight. They had no idea they'd just lit the fuse. The clock on my dashboard read 10:21 p.m. I had names, evidence, recordings, and screenshots. Most importantly, I had clarity. My parents hadn't just embarrassed me, they'd declared war on my future. Fine. I knew exactly how to build an empire from ashes. The temporary apartment in downtown Brookfield smelled like fresh paint and possibility. At 3:12 a.m., I sat cross-legged on the floor with my laptop, 3 legal pads, and enough coffee to fuel a small army. The Phoenix file grew with each passing hour. Screenshot Gregory telling Morgan Industries I was financially irresponsible. Video Lila's complete humiliation speech. 23 minutes of calculated cruelty. Audio. The conversation I'd recorded 2 weeks prior, where Dad joked about sabotaging my investor meetings. Document the paper trail showing they'd used my college fund money my grandmother left specifically for my education to buy their Redstone Country Hall membership. By sunrise, I had 47 pieces of evidence organized chronologically. At 8 sharp, I walked into Sterling and Vale, a law firm in the Meridian Tower. Maya Sterling herself met me in the lobby, a black woman in her 50s with silver streaks in her natural hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Defamation case," she guessed after I'd sat down. "That's just the beginning." I slid her a USB drive. "Tortious interference with business relations, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conversion of educational trust funds, and conspiracy." Maya plugged in the drive. For 30 minutes, she clicked through files, occasionally raising an eyebrow or taking notes. Finally, she leaned back. "Your parents are either very stupid or very confident." "Both," I said. "The defamation is clear-cut. The business interference will need to document specific losses. The trust fund issue." She pulled up a document. "This is criminal. They could face charges." "I don't want their money or their jail time. I want something else." Maya studied me. "Which is 90 days. Give me 90 days of silence while I build something undeniable. Then we strike with everything publicly, legally, comprehensively. I want them to watch me succeed while their own actions are exposed. That's a dangerous game. They could escalate. Let them. Every move they make becomes more evidence." We spent 2 hours crafting the strategy. Cease and desist letters would wait. Criminal complaints would wait. Everything would wait while I disappeared from their radar and built my counterstrike. "What's your business plan?" Maya asked. I opened my second laptop. Last mile sustainable logistics. The infrastructure bill just passed. Companies need green delivery solutions for tax breaks. I've identified 17 potential clients in Stonebridge Industrial Park alone. Starting capital, $12,000 in savings. Plus, I'm applying to Greentown Fund's micro-grant program. If my parents poison traditional banks, I'll go alternative. Maya smiled for the first time. "You've thought this through." "I've had years to think. They just gave me a reason to execute." That afternoon, I incorporated Rivermint Logistics LLC. The name meant nothing to anyone else the river where I'd cried after my first startup failed, the mint plants my grandmother grew. But to me, it meant resurrection. I texted 3 people from my MBA program, Noah Reeves. Starting something new. Need ops genius. Interested. Priya Patel. Remember our routing algorithm project, want to make it real. Kara Johnson. You said you were tired of selling nothing to nobody. How about something to somebody? All 3 responded within an hour. We met at a Starbucks near campus at 7 p.m. "What happened at your graduation party?" Noah asked carefully. "The videos are everywhere. My parents happened." I said simply. "And now I'm done letting them define my narrative. Are you in or out?" I laid out the business model: electric vehicles leased through a green fleet program, reusable containers with QR tracking, route optimization using Priya's algorithm, B2B contracts with guaranteed delivery windows. Starting salary is nothing, equity is everything. We work 18-hour days for 90 days. Then we announce ourselves to Brookfield with undeniable numbers. Kara leaned forward. Why 90 days specifically? Because that's when my brother's graduation party happens. Same venue, same audience, except this time, I won't be the one leaving in silence. Noah and Priya exchanged glances. When do we start? Priya asked. Tomorrow. 6 warehouse space in Stonebridge. I'm signing the lease tonight. As they left, Kara lingered. Ava, what your parents did is fuel. I cut her off. Nothing more, nothing less. That night, I stood in the empty warehouse that would become Rivermint's first distribution center. 5,000 square feet of concrete and possibility. My phone had 17 missed calls from Gregory, 12 from Lila. I blocked both numbers. On the wall, I taped a single photo from the graduation party, my parents raising their champagne glasses, laughing. Above it, I wrote 90 days. The Phoenix file was complete. The legal strategy was set. The business was incorporated. The team was assembled. Now came the hard part, proving that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with revenue projections and a legal filing that makes the evening news. Day 1 at the warehouse began at 5:43 a.m. Noah arrived with a thermos of coffee and a spreadsheet of used electric vehicles available for lease. Priya had spent the night coding, her routing algorithm already processing Stonebridge Industrial Park's traffic patterns. Kara brought something more valuable, a list of 32 local businesses that had publicly committed to sustainability goals but hadn't figured out implementation. Start small, prove the model, scale fast. I wrote on the whiteboard. First, target businesses too small for Amazon's logistics, but too quality-conscious for standard delivery. We divided Stonebridge into 4 quadrants. Each would be a testing ground for different service models. The concrete floor became our war room, laptops on folding tables, extension cords snaking everywhere, a printer that jammed every third page. Our first vehicle arrived at noon, a 2021 arrival van, white and unremarkable except for the electric charging port. Noah had negotiated a 6-month lease with option to buy. We spent 3 hours installing our tracking system QR scanners, temperature monitors for food deliveries, and Priya's custom software. First client meeting tomorrow, Kara announced, hanging up her phone. Rosewood Artisan Bakery. They're interested in our reusable container system. The containers were my obsession. Food-grade polymer, stackable, with embedded chips for tracking. Each one cost $18. We had 200. If we lost them, we were finished. At Rosewood Bakery the next morning, the owner, Marcus Webb, examined our container skeptically. My sourdough doesn't travel well. Temperature-controlled, cushioned base, vented lid, I demonstrated. Your bread arrives exactly as it leaves your oven. We guarantee it or full refund. What about cost? 20% less than your current delivery. Carbon neutral certification included. Your customers can track their order from your oven to their door. Marcus wanted a trial week. We gave him a trial day, 1 perfect delivery to prove the concept. That afternoon, Priya's algorithm routed our first real delivery, 12 loaves, to the Meridian building, arriving at 2:15 p.m. for an office meeting. Noah drove. I rode along, documenting everything. The bread arrived at 2:14 p.m. The containers worked perfectly. The client signed for regular service on the spot. 1 success became 3. 3 became 10. But week 2 brought our first crisis. Somebody's been calling our potential clients, Kara said, slamming her phone down. 3 canceled meetings just this morning. They're all saying the same thing they heard: we're unstable, unreliable. I knew exactly who. The Phoenix file gained a new subfolder, active interference. Document everything, I told Kara. Get it in writing if possible. Maya needs ammunition. That night, I worked alone in the warehouse until 3 a.m. assembling containers and running numbers. Revenue week 1, $840. Week 2, $2,200. We needed 50,000 by day, 90 to be taken seriously. Day 23 brought unexpected hope. Priya burst in during our morning meeting. Greentown Fund approved our grant application. $25,000. No strings except quarterly impact reports. We bought 2 more vehicles that day. Hired our first driver, Marcus Jr., the baker's son who'd just finished community college. Created uniforms, simple black polos with river mint in green threading. The resistance came in waves. A supplier suddenly couldn't fulfill our container order. They'd received a call about our financial instability. The Brookfield Business Journal rejected our press release without explanation. Someone reported our warehouse to the city for a permit violation that didn't exist. Each attack went into the file. Maya's cease and desist letters remained unsent. Waiting. Day 45. We had 23 regular clients. The Stonebridge Pharmacy wanted us to handle all prescription deliveries. The local farmers market asked about produce distribution. Revenue hit $12,000 for the week. We need a bigger victory, I told the team. Something undeniable. Kara had been working on Wesley Foods Cooperative for 3 weeks. 42 independent grocery stores looking for unified logistics. Their RFP was due in 10 days. Their current provider charges them $3.2 million annually, Kara reported. We can do it for $2.8 and go carbon neutral. We worked 72 hours straight on that proposal. Priya's routing algorithm showed 15% efficiency improvement. Noah's operational plan covered every store, every delivery window. I wrote the executive summary 16 times. The presentation happened on day 58. 6 executives in a boardroom that smelled like old coffee and skepticism. Rivermint has been operational for less than 2 months, their CFO pointed out. And we've achieved 98.7% on-time delivery. I responded. Here are the signed testimonials from every client. Here's our real-time tracking dashboard. Here's our insurance coverage, our contingency plans, our growth projections. They asked about funding. I showed them the Greentown grant, 3 months of revenue documentation, and a letter of interest from Stoneboat Ventures for a seed round. What makes you different? The CEO asked. I thought of my parents laughing in that ballroom. We understand what it means to have everything stacked against you and deliver anyway. Day 61. Kara called at 11 p.m. We got Wesley. 24 months. $4.2 million guaranteed. The contract would be signed next week. I sat in the dark warehouse, surrounded by humming container chargers and the quiet presence of possibility. 29 days remained until Evan's graduation party, until my return to Redstone Country Hall. The Phoenix file now contained 132 pieces of evidence. Maya had drafted the lawsuit. The business was real, profitable, growing. Time to prepare for the finale. The escalation started with Lila's Facebook post on day 63. So proud of our family's commitment to honest business practices. It's heartbreaking when someone close to you chooses deception over integrity. Some people inflate their success to hide their failures. The truth always surfaces. Family values. Honesty matters. Tagged location, Northlake University Alumni Network. Within hours, it had been shared into 3 Brookfield business groups. The comments were carefully seeded my parents' friends, asking concerned questions about that logistics startup and whether anyone had verified their claims. Maya called me at 7 a.m. This crossed the line into actionable defamation. We can file now. Not yet. Let them dig deeper. Gregory's attack was more surgical. Day 65. Noah got a call from Community Bank of Brookfield. They're freezing our credit line application, he said, face pale. The loan officer literally said, "We've received concerning information about your CEO's financial history." I pulled out my phone and started recording. Call them back on speaker. The loan officer, Mr. Daniels, was professionally vague. We simply need to ensure fiscal responsibility. There are questions about Ms. Caldwell's past ventures. Which ventures? I asked clearly. I'm not at liberty to, who provided this information. A pause. That's confidential. Is it Gregory Caldwell? He's on your board of directors. Correct? The line went dead. Maya had the cease and desist letters delivered within 2 hours, but the damage was spreading. 2 potential clients canceled meetings. A supplier demanded payment up front instead of net 30 terms. We need that Stoneboat funding, Noah said. Now. The venture capital meeting was scheduled for day 70. I wore my only suit that wasn't at my parents' house. The Stoneboat offices occupied the top floor of the Meridian building, all glass and exposed brick. The Brookfield skyline spread below. 3 partners sat across from me. They'd done their homework. Your growth is impressive, the lead partner, James Wu, began. But we've heard concerning rumors about your background, some stability questions. I opened my laptop. I anticipated this. Here's every piece of documentation about Rivermint's finances. Here's our Wesley contract. Here are the actual defamatory statements being spread about me. And here's the legal action we're taking. I played Lila's graduation speech video, then the audio of Gregory's call to the bank. Then I showed them the Phoenix file, organized, comprehensive, damning. My parents are trying to destroy my business because they can't control me. Every word they've spread is documented lie. Every interference is recorded. You can either be part of my success story or explain to your LPs why you passed on a company with a $4 million anchor contract because of gossip. James Wu leaned back. What's your actual ask? 2 million seed round, 20% equity, use of funds 10 more vehicles, hiring, and working capital for Wesley implementation. That values you at 10 million pre-money for a 2-month-old company. With 4.2 million in contracted revenue and 98% delivery success rate. They asked for a week. I gave them 3 days. Day 72 brought the nuclear option. Aunt Denise called me at 11:30 p.m. Your mother just posted in the family group that you forged the Wesley contract. She's demanding everyone call Wesley to verify the truth. Your father is threatening to hire a private investigator to expose your fraud. I screenshot everything. Then I called Maya. File it all. Now. Tonight. The graduation party is still 18 days away. They just accused me of forgery. That's criminal defamation. File the civil suit. Send the criminal complaint to the DA and copy the Brookfield Business Journal. If they want war, they get war. Maya's team worked through the night. By 9 a.m., Gregory and Lila Caldwell were served at their home. The lawsuit named them both as defendants. Defamation per se, tortious interference with contract, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conversion of trust funds. The ask $3.8 million in damages plus punitive awards. Attached to the filing 80 pages of exhibits, screenshots, recordings, emails, witness statements. Denise had given a sworn affidavit about the trust fund misuse. The Business Journal called at noon. Ms. Caldwell, can you comment on the lawsuit against your parents? Read the filing. The evidence speaks for itself. Rivermint remains focused on serving our clients with excellence. Stoneboat called at 2 p.m. We're in, James Wu said, but we want to close before your family drama explodes. How about tomorrow? Tomorrow works. Day 73. In a conference room with lawyers, bankers, and venture capitalists. I signed the papers that valued Rivermint at $12 million post-money. The same day, Wesley's first purchase order arrived $68,000 for the first month's services. That evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. Ava. Gregory's voice, smaller than I'd ever heard it. What have you done? Exactly what you taught me, Dad. I documented everything, built my leverage, and struck when the opportunity was optimal. You're suing your own parents. You tried to destroy your own daughter, which is worse. A long pause. The graduation party. I'll be there, with my lawyers, and some announcements of my own. Ava, please. See you in 17 days, Dad. I hung up and looked around the warehouse. 32 employees now. 6 vehicles with 4 more arriving next week. A wall of signed contracts. A bank account with $2 million in venture funding. The photograph of my parents laughing was still taped to the wall. but now it was surrounded by everything I'd built from their betrayal. 17 days to the finale. The Wesley Foods implementation launched on day 75 like a military operation. 42 stores, each with specific delivery windows, product requirements, and receiving protocols. Priya's algorithm orchestrated it all, a digital symphony of routes, times, and temperatures. Our first day, 97% success rate. 1 delayed delivery due to road construction. 2 incorrect orders that we fixed within an hour. By day 78, we hit perfect execution. Wesley's CEO, Patricia Morrison, called personally. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." 3 stores said it's the smoothest logistics transition they've ever had. The media picked up the story. Local startup lands major contract, despite family drama. Brookfield Business Journal's headline was almost poetry. The article mentioned the lawsuit in passing but focused on our numbers: 52 employees hired in under 3 months, all from Brookfield. 6-figure monthly revenue. Carbon footprint reduced by 40% compared to traditional delivery. Day 80 brought the game changer. Stoneboat's PR team arranged an interview with TechCrunch. The headline ran nationally: Rivermint Logistics raises $2 million seed to transform last-mile delivery. The valuation number was public now. $38 million post-money after the Series seed extension Stoneboat had pushed through based on Wesley's contract. My 26% stake was worth nearly $10 million on paper. Gregory tried calling 18 times that day. Lila sent emails with subject lines like, "We need to talk," and "This has gone too far." I forwarded everything to Maya. My team was evolving beyond my wildest expectations. Noah had recruited 2 Stanford MBA grads who'd turned down McKinsey to join us. Priya's algorithm got attention from a logistics conference they wanted her to present in San Francisco. Kara closed 3 more enterprise clients, each worth 6 figures annually. "You know what you've built here?" Noah asked during one late-night session. We were mapping expansion into 3 adjacent counties. A company, a fucking empire, in 81 days. Day 83. The Brookfield Ledger ran a feature story. Front page of the business section. They'd interviewed 15 clients, all glowing reviews. But the journalist had also reached out to my parents for comment. Gregory's quote, "We've always supported our daughter's ambitions. Any misunderstandings are being resolved privately. Lila's family matters should remain within the family." Maya laughed when I showed her. "They're backing down. Publicly. Not enough. They haven't apologized, haven't admitted anything, haven't made it right." What would make it right? I thought about it. Public acknowledgement of what they did, full restoration of the trust fund they stole, and a written commitment to never interfere with my business again. You could get that in a settlement. Settlements come with NDAs. I want this on record. Day 85 brought unexpected allies. 3 of my parents' supposed friends, all named in the Project Reality Check chat, quietly reached out through lawyers. They wanted their names removed from the lawsuit. They were willing to provide statements that Gregory and Lila had misrepresented the situation to them. Rats fleeing the ship. Maya observed. The Wesley implementation was generating numbers that made Stoneboat giddy. Week 2, revenue $186,000. Profit margins at 22%. Client satisfaction scores averaging 9.8 out of 10. "Ciao, we want to discuss Series A." James Wu called on day 87. "This growth trajectory is insane." "After the graduation party," I told him. "Everything happens after that." The arrangements for Evan's graduation party were elaborate. Northlake University's Phoenix Fellows Scholarship was real. Now I'd endowed it with $250,000 from my personal funds. The university president himself would announce it at the ceremony. Maya's team prepared 2 sets of documents. One for peaceful resolution settlement agreements, payment plans for the trust fund restoration, public apology templates. The other for war criminal complaint supplements, additional civil claims, press release drafts that would destroy what remained of my parents' reputation. "Your choice," Maya said, organizing the files. "Mercy or justice." "That depends on them." Day 89, Denise called with intelligence. "They're planning something for the party." Gregory has been calling every family member, trying to get them on his side. Lila's been crying to her book club about her ungrateful daughter. They're going to try to flip the narrative. Let them try. I scheduled a meeting with the university's event coordinator, explained the situation, showed her the legal documents, made certain arrangements. The scholarship announcement happens at 8:45 p.m., she confirmed. Your presentation immediately after. We'll have security present, discreetly. The final touch came from an unexpected source. Marcus Webb, the baker whose artisan bread had been our first delivery, called on day 90. Heard about the party. Want me to cater the desserts? My gift to the woman who saved my business. By 3 p.m., on graduation day, everything was in position. The Wesley contract was performing at 99.2% satisfaction. Rivermint's valuation had been validated by 2 independent firms. The Phoenix Fellows Scholarship was funded and announced. The legal documents were printed, organized, and waiting. I stood in my warehouse office, looking at the empire built in 90 days. The photo of my parents laughing was still on the wall, but now it was surrounded by success they couldn't deny, couldn't diminish, couldn't destroy. Noah knocked. Car's here. You ready? I picked up 2 briefcases. One contained the settlement offers. The other contained total war. Time to end this. The drive to Redstone Country Hall took 23 minutes. The same valet was working. He recognized me, his eyes widening. Ms. Caldwell, welcome back. This time, I wasn't driving a Honda Civic. The Tesla Model S leased through Rivermint's green vehicle program gleamed under the evening lights. Park it prominently, I said, handing him the keys and a $100 tip. I want everyone to see it. The Redstone Country Hall was dressed identically to 3 months ago, same string lights, same colonial windows, same marble floors that echoed with the weight of old money. But I wasn't the same person who'd fled through these doors. Maya stood by the entrance in a charcoal suit that meant business. Behind her, 2 associates from Sterling and Vale carried bankers' boxes of documents. A process server waited in the auxiliary parlor, credentials ready. They don't know about the scholarship yet, Maya confirmed. University kept it under wraps as requested. I surveyed the room. 200 guests mingled with champagne and calculated small talk. Gregory held court near the bar, his voice carrying stories about challenging market conditions and family investments. Lila floated between groups of women, her laugh too bright, her gestures too animated. Evan found me first. My brother had grown thinner, shadows under his eyes. Ava, thank God you're here. They've been telling everyone you're having some kind of breakdown. Dad's been saying the lawsuit is proof of your instability. How many people has he told? Everyone. Literally everyone here. Perfect. The more witnesses to the truth, the better. At 8:30 p.m., the university president, Dr. Richardson, took the microphone. My parents gravitated toward the stage, expecting to be called up for their usual donors recognition. Before we celebrate our graduates, Dr. Richardson began, I want to announce something extraordinary. Northlake University has received one of the largest individual scholarship endowments in our history. Gregory straightened his tie. Lila touched her pearls. The Phoenix Fellows Scholarship will provide full tuition, room, and board for 5 students each year who've overcome significant personal adversity. The donor specifically requested these students come from backgrounds where family support was absent or actively destructive. The room murmured. My parents' smiles flickered. This $250,000 endowment comes from one of our own recent graduates, who built a multi-million-dollar company in just 90 days despite facing personal and professional sabotage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ava Caldwell, CEO of Rivermint Logistics. The spotlight found me. I walked to the stage through a corridor of stunned silence. Gregory's face had drained of color. Lila's hand was frozen halfway to her mouth. Good evening, I began, my voice steady as steel. 3 months ago, in this very room, I was publicly humiliated by people I trusted. Tonight, I'm here to discuss what happened next. The projection screen behind me came alive. Slide 1 Rivermint's incorporation documents, dated the day after my humiliation. 90 days ago, I had $12,000 and a warehouse lease. Slide 2 The Wesley Foods contract, $4.2 million highlighted in bold. Today, Rivermint employs 52 people from this community. Slide 3 The Stoneboat term sheet, $38 million valuation. We've reduced delivery emissions by 40% while maintaining 99% on-time delivery. The room was mesmerized. I clicked to slide 4A timeline titled Documented Interference. Each entry showed attempts to sabotage my business emails, phone logs, screenshots. Gregory's name appeared 17 times. Lila's, 12. But building a company while under attack requires more than determination. It requires legal protection. Maya and her associates moved toward the main table where my parents sat frozen. Some of you have been told I'm unstable, that my success is fabricated, that I'm having a breakdown. I let my eyes rest on Gregory. These are lies, actionable, documented lies. The process server approached my parents' table with an envelope. Mr. and Mrs. Caldwell, he announced clearly. You're being served with an amended complaint. Additional counts of defamation per se based on statements made to guests at this event. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone was recording on their phone. Good. I clicked to the next slide. Screenshots from Project Reality Check. This was a conspiracy to destroy my professional future. It failed. Slide 6 showed the trust fund records my grandmother's education money diverted to country club memberships. They stole from my future to pay for their present. That ends tonight. Gregory stood abruptly. Ava, this is inappropriate. Sit down, Dad. My voice cut through the room like ice. You had your turn to speak at my graduation. This is mine at Evans. I pulled out the settlement documents. You have 2 choices. Option 1. Sign this settlement. Publicly apologize. Restore the stolen trust fund with interest. Cease all interference with my business. Option 2. We go to trial. Criminal charges for the theft? Civil trial for everything else? Your choice. Lila was crying now, mascara running. How could you do this to your family? You did this. I'm just finishing it. I turned back to the audience, many of whom were my parents' business associates. Rivermint is always hiring. We believe in second chances, fresh starts, and Phoenix stories. Unlike some people in this room, we build others up instead of tearing them down. I set the microphone down and walked toward Evan, pulling an envelope from my jacket. Your graduation gift. Full ride to any MBA program you choose, anywhere in the world. No strings, no control, no public humiliation. Just support. My brother's eyes filled with tears. The room erupted in chaos. Conversations exploded at every table. The university president looked stunned but somehow pleased. My parents were surrounded by Maya's team, legal documents spreading across their table like an autopsy. I made it to the door before Gregory caught up. Ava, wait. I turned. Yes, the settlement. We'll sign. Just stop this. Maya has the documents. You have 72 hours to transfer the trust fund money. The public apology goes in the Brookfield Ledger. Full page. Every word I approve. You've destroyed us. No, Dad, you destroyed yourselves. I just documented it. I walked out of Redstone Country Hall for the second time in 90 days. But this time, the sound following me wasn't laughter. It was applause. The microphone felt weightless in my hand as Dr. Richardson stepped aside. The projection screen behind me displayed Rivermint's logo clean, professional, undeniable. I had exactly 12 minutes before the scheduled toast. 12 minutes to end this war. Good evening, I repeated, letting my voice fill every corner of the ballroom. I want to thank Northlake University for allowing me to be part of this celebration. The silence was absolute. 200 pairs of eyes tracked between me and my parents' table. Gregory sat rigid, his jaw clenched. Lila had stopped crying, her face a mask of mortified fury. 90 days ago, I learned something valuable in this very room. I learned that family can become your greatest enemy, that the people who should protect you might try to destroy you instead, and that sometimes the best response to cruelty isn't anger, it's evidence. I clicked to the next slide. A simple graph, Rivermint's daily revenue from day 1 to day 90. The line curved upward like a rocket launch. Every day after my humiliation, I built something. While others spread lies, I let my eyes rest on specific faces in the crowd. My parents' co-conspirators. I created jobs. While they made phone calls to sabotage me, I made deliveries that kept businesses running. Slide change. Photos of my employees at the warehouse. Marcus Jr. loading his delivery van. Priya teaching routing optimization to new hires. Real people, real jobs, real impact. 52 families now have income because Rivermint exists. 7 local businesses expanded because our logistics made it possible. Carbon emissions dropped by 12 tons per month in our delivery zones. Someone started clapping. Then another. I raised my hand for silence. But let me be clear about why we're really here tonight. The next slide made several people gasp. It was the email thread Gregory writing to potential investors, warning them about his unstable daughter. Time-stamped 2 weeks after my graduation, when Rivermint was just 10 days old. This is what my father sent to 14 venture capital firms in the state. I read it aloud. Every poisonous word. The room seemed to contract around my parents' table. This is what my mother posted in the Northlake University Alumni Network. Lila's Facebook post filled the screen. The one calling me a fraud, a fantasist, a failure. These aren't the actions of concerned parents. They're the tactics of people who need others to fail so they can feel superior. Maya moved through the crowd like a shadow, handing specific guests subpoenas, the ones who'd participated in Project Reality Check, who'd made calls on my parents' behalf. Everyone who helped them has been documented, every interference logged, every lie recorded. I pulled out my phone and played an audio recording. Gregory's voice filled the ballroom. Just tell them she's unstable. Mental health issues, they won't touch her with a 10-foot pole. She'll have to come crawling back. The recording ended. Someone's champagne glass hit the floor. That conversation happened 6 weeks ago, after I'd already signed the Wesley contract. After the seed funding was confirmed. He was still trying to destroy what I'd built. I looked directly at my parents. Why? Gregory started to stand. Security moved closer, the university's discreet arrangement. Because control matters more to you than love. Because your ego matters more than your daughter's future. Because you'd rather rule over ashes than watch me build an empire. My voice never rose. Cold facts hit harder than heated accusations. So here's what happens now. The final slide appeared. 3 documents side by side. The settlement agreement, the public apology draft, the trust fund restoration order. Option 1. You sign tonight. The lawsuit ends. You pay back every penny stolen from my education fund with interest. You publish a full-page apology in the Brookfield Ledger. You cease all contact with my business associates. You get to keep some dignity. I paused, letting it sink in. Option 2. We go to trial. Criminal prosecution for the trust fund theft that's fraud and embezzlement. Civil trial for defamation. Tortious interference. An intentional infliction of emotional distress. I have 97 pieces of evidence. 14 witnesses. 3 written confessions from your co-conspirators who've already flipped. Maya stepped forward with the settlement documents, placing them directly in front of my parents. You have 15 minutes to decide. Sign now, or we file the criminal charges Monday morning at 9 a.m. Lila's voice cracked. You're our daughter. No, I was your property, your disappointment, your punching bag. Now I'm your consequence. I turned to address the room one last time. To everyone here who believed their lies about me, check Rivermint's numbers, their public record, To anyone who helped spread those lies, expect subpoenas. To anyone who wants to work for a company that values building over destroying, we're hiring. I walked over to Evan and handed him another envelope. The First Phoenix Fellows Scholarship. It's yours. Full ride, plus stipend, plus internship at any company in our portfolio. You deserve better than what this family gave us. Evan hugged me, sobbing into my shoulder. The room watched as Gregory picked up the pen with trembling fingers. He signed every page, every exhibit, every acknowledgement. Lila followed, tears streaming. Maya collected the documents, had them notarized by the mobile notary she'd stationed at the exit. 72 hours for the fund transfer, Maya announced. The apology runs Sunday. Any deviation from the agreement triggers immediate criminal filing. I headed for the exit. At the door, I turned back one last time. The entire room was on their feet, not applauding, just standing in stunned witness to what complete victory looked like. Happy graduation, Evan, I said. Your future is yours now. Don't let anyone steal it. I walked out into the night air, where my Tesla waited under the valet stand lights. The night air outside Redstone Country Hall carried the scent of approaching rain and fresh beginnings. James Wu from Stoneboat Ventures stood by my Tesla, a tablet in his hand and a smile playing at his lips. That was quite a performance, he said. That was the truth delivered with receipts. He handed me the tablet. Speaking of receipts, final wire confirmation. The Series A expansion we discussed. $8 million additional at a $45 million pre-money valuation. You wanted to sign it somewhere meaningful. I looked back at the colonial windows glowing with warm light, shadows of people moving inside like ghosts of a past life. Then I took his stylus. Where better than here, I signed my name on the hood of the Tesla, using it as a makeshift desk. The same valet who'd watched me flee in tears 90 days ago now watched me secure enough funding to expand Rivermint into 3 states. Ms. Caldwell. A voice behind me. Marcus Webb emerged from the shadows, carrying a box. Wanted to give you this. Inside was a loaf of sourdough, still warm, with Day 91 written in flour dust on the crust. First delivery to your first customer, he said. Coming full circle. Maya appeared at the entrance, associates behind her carrying boxes of signed documents. Transfer initiated while you were signing, she reported. $387,000 your education fund plus 12 years of compound interest. They also agreed to the expanded apology. Full page, Sunday edition, above the fold. Any resistance? Your father asked if the criminal charges would really stick. I showed him the forensic accounting. He signed everything after that. Through the windows, I could see the party resuming its rhythm. But something had shifted. Gregory sat alone at his table, abandoned by the very people he'd tried to impress. Lila stood by the bar, her circle of supporters notably smaller. The kingdom they'd built on cruelty was crumbling in real time. Evan ran out, still clutching his scholarship envelope. Ava, wait. He caught his breath. Mom and Dad are leaving. Just grabbed their coats and left through the service entrance. People are asking questions. The whole room is talking about Rivermint, about what you built. Let them talk. Let them Google. Let them learn what happens when you bet against someone with nothing left to lose. I pulled out my phone. One new message from Patricia Morrison at Wesley Foods. Saw the news coverage. Want to discuss exclusive logistics partnership for our West Coast expansion. Let's build something bigger. The rain started to fall, gentle at first. I stood there at the entrance of Redstone Country Hall, the place where my humiliation began and my vindication ended. The valet stand now sheltered 4 cars mine and 3 others with Rivermint delivery magnets on their doors. My employees had come to witness the finale. Noah, Priya, and Kara emerged from the hall, each carrying champagne flutes they'd liberated from the party. To the best revenge, Noah raised his glass. To building an empire, Priya added. To proving them all wrong, Kara finished. I looked at the golden liquid sparkling in the glass, remembered another toast in this same place that had tasted like poison. This one would taste like victory. To 90 days, I said. We drank under the valet stand as rain drummed on the canvas above. Behind us, through those colonial windows. The graduation party continued, but the story had changed. Now they'd tell tales of the Caldwell daughter who turned humiliation into millions, who built a company from spite and made it something spectacular. My phone buzzed. A notification from the Brookfield Ledger. They wanted an exclusive interview about the most dramatic business launch in the city's history. I opened my email to respond and saw something that stopped me cold. A message from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, "Your grandmother would be proud." Inside was a single line. "She always said the best revenge was a life well lived. You've done her one better, a life well documented." A friend from her nursing home? Attached was a photo I'd never seen. My grandmother, young, standing in front of her own business, a small delivery company called Riverside Shipping. The company Gregory had convinced her to sell to pay for his MBA. The money that was supposed to be mine. Everything came full circle. I looked back one last time at Redstone Country Hall. Through the rain, it looked smaller somehow, less imposing. Just a building where small people had tried to make me smaller. But you can't minimize someone who's already decided to become infinite. The rain intensified as I got into my Tesla. In the rear-view mirror, I watched my employees pile into their Rivermint vehicles. Tomorrow, we had 112 deliveries scheduled, 3 new client meetings, a conference call with West Coast investors. Tonight, we had proof that empires could be built from ashes, that documentation beats humiliation, and that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with a notarized signature and a wire transfer confirmation. My phone lit up with a text from Evan. "Thank you for showing me what courage looks like." I typed back, "Build something they can't tear down." The Tesla's autopilot engaged as I pulled onto the highway. Behind me, Redstone Country Hall disappeared into the rain. Ahead, the lights of downtown Brookfield beckoned the warehouse, the fleet, the future I'd built with my own hands. 90 days ago, they raised their glasses to my humiliation. Tonight, I signed my Series A funding on the hood of a car they couldn't afford to insure. The universe, it turns out, keeps perfect books. Thank you for listening to my story of sweet revenge and transformation. Where are you listening from today? Drop a comment below and let's connect. I'd love to know which part resonated with you most. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of triumph over adversity, and share your own thoughts about standing up to those who try to tear you down. Your story matters too.